Just in case I haven't met you yet, my name is Rachel and I'm one of the pastors here. And I oversee the hub, so what we do at a church on Tuesday and Thursday, and I absolutely love that space. And every now and then I get the opportunity to come on Sunday and share with you the message. And so, if you do know me, you probably know that I like to run. Do you guys know that? Yes, okay. So I have been running since I became a mum to Kaylin. So he's almost 15. So for 15 years, I have been a runner. And I've lived in Appin for almost 10 years. And so around my hometown, I have certain tracks that I run. And if you're a runner, you might know of the app called Runkeeper. Has anyone heard of Runkeeper? No, that's okay. But Runkeeper, we all know what apps are though, do we? Yes? Apps that are on our phone. So this app, Runkeeper, is what it does is it tracks how long you run and how fast you run, or depending on the day, how slow you run. And so I put my earphones in and I have this voice that comes into my head and it tells me how long I've ran and how fast I'm running. And so as I'm running around Appin, I have certain tracks. So I have a 1 kilometre track, I have a 3 kilometre track, I have a 4 kilometre track, I have a 7 kilometre track, I have a 10 kilometre track. And these tracks I've ran hundreds of times because I constantly am running every single week for the last 10 years. And so I know how long every single track is. But this really interesting thing happens when Runkeeper decides not to work. Okay? And what happens, and there's this tension that rises within me, is when Runkeeper is wrong, and I know that I've ran 5 kilometres, but it's telling me I've only run 4.5. And so I have this decision to make. Do I stop, even though I know it's actually 5 kilometres, or do I keep on running until Runkeeper has told me that I've run 5 kilometres? It's this tension. And do you know what I do more often than not? I kid you not. I keep on running. I keep on running because that voice inside my head has so much power. Right? Even though I know that it is not true, that it is not the truth, but there's this temptation to listen to that voice. And so this morning, I'm not talking about running, right? But I do want you to answer this question as I'm speaking. Do I run to the voice inside my head, or do I run to the truth? Right? Do I run to the voice inside my head, or do I run to the truth? And maybe for you, some days that voice inside your head is actually going along with what the truth is. And so there's no tension, there's no battle, and your day is good. But maybe sometimes that voice in your head is speaking darkness and deception into your life. Right? Maybe sometimes that voice inside your head is speaking darkness and deception. Right? And then we have a choice. We have a choice every single day. Are we going to listen to that dark voice, or are we going to live by the truth and walk in the light of Jesus? And so we are looking at the passage Ephesians chapter 4, verses 17 to 31. And we're continuing our Thrive series. Have you guys been enjoying the Thrive series? Yeah, isn't Ephesians a great book? It's such a good book. And so this passage, I've given it to most of you today. If you did not see me this morning, if I haven't given you a whiteboard marker and a sheet of paper, there's just some copies down here at the front. You don't need them right now. So you can just leave it at the end. You can come and grab it from the front. But I've given you this whole passage that you can take home with you. But right now in this space I'm just going to read out the highlighted green words, okay? And there's a bit of a participation that's involved here is because this passage, as you read through it, what you realize is that there's 2 themes, right? There is a theme of darkness and there is a theme of light, okay? A theme of darkness and a theme of light. And that dark theme represents our old nature. It's our life before we met Jesus. And what this passage is telling us is it's telling us to throw off that darkness, throw off that old nature. And then the other theme, the contrasting theme that we see in this passage is a theme of light. It's a newness of our new life with Jesus. And it's asking us to put this new nature on. And so as I read through these highlighted words, what I want you to do is I want you to call out whether you think it's light or dark. Is that all right? Can everyone say light? Can everyone say dark? Okay, I think you've got it. So just, call it out. So that first green word is hopelessly confused. Good job. Minds that are full of darkness. I gave you an easy one. Wandering far from the life of God. Closed minds. Hardened hearts. No sense of shame. This happened at Austral too. This is confusing because it's out of context. Hence, you should read it when you get home. But this is talking about, it's not talking about the shame that sits on you and oppresses you and holds you down. It's talking about that shame, that remorse, that little bit of like feeling you get when you've done the wrong thing that teaches you not to do that wrong thing again. So it is dark, yeah? Because we want that. Remorse is good, right? Okay. Lustful pleasure. Impurity. Truth. Lust and deception. Renewed thoughts and attitudes. New nature. Like God, truly righteous and holy. Telling lies. Just got to catch up. Letting anger control you. Stealing. Using hands for good hard work and giving generously. Foul or abusive language. You guys are really good at this. Have you been like studying? Saying good and helpful things. Encouragement. Bitterness. Rage. Anger. Harsh words. Slander. Evil behavior. Kindness. Tender-hearted. Forgiving. Forgiven. Excellent. So we can see, right? We can see these themes of darkness and light. And so God is actually asking us to step out of the darkness and step into his light, right? And we know that we have done this by the actions we are living out, right? All those things that we read out, they are our behaviors. They are things that people can see. Right, another metaphor that's used in the Bible that talks about how we know if a tree is healthy by its fruit. If it has good fruit, then we know the tree is healthy. If the fruit is bad, then we know the tree is unhealthy. But you see, what Jesus is actually, he's not only telling us what he wants us to do, but he's telling us how to do it. Right? He's telling us how do we change these actions. Because I'm not sure if you have noticed, but some of our behaviors, some of our patterns, some of our habits are hard to change. Has anyone experienced that? Yeah? So, right, God is so wise, right? And that he knows that for the external to change, something has to happen in the internal. Okay? And that's why today I want to highlight verses 23 to 24. And it says, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and your attitudes. Right, step 1, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and your attitudes. And then step 2, put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly holy and righteous. You see, we change our behaviors by first changing our thoughts and our attitudes. We change what's external by first changing what is internal. And so today I want to spend a bit of time on that. Okay? Because like I said, it's like an easy concept. It's easier said, but much harder done. And so for today, I've brought along a box with me. This is my dark thoughts box. Okay? I brought this to the hub with me. Carmen was there and everyone was very curious when I walked into the hub with a box that said, I am angry. I am a deceiver. I am addicted. I am anxious. I am depressed. I think there's one more. No, I am broken with words, or I've been broken by words. I am alone. I can do it on my own. So I think people were a bit concerned for me on Thursday. They were like, is Rachel okay? Should we send her home? But this box does represent our dark thoughts. And some of them are my dark thoughts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But some of these are dark thoughts that we see in this passage, or that I just thought people tend to experience in life. And so I've brought this box along because there's two pictures, right? The first picture I want to talk about is how I think sometimes we have heard it spoken about before in the past. And you might have heard Ryan refer to it as spiritual bypassing, but we all carry around this box with us, right? We all have these, whether we want to admit it or not, we have this darkness that we carry. And sometimes I think as Christians particularly, maybe non-Christians too, but I think what we sometimes do is we think, oh, here's my box, and I'm just going to say, by the power of Jesus, be gone. Ah, all my problems are gone away. Isn't that great? And I'm fixed, I'm healed, transformation, thank you, Jesus. But what happens more often than not, excuse me, podcast, I'll disappear from the stage, is that this box somehow ends up back in our hands. Have you guys ever experienced that? Yeah? So I want to give us a different picture today, okay? And I actually need someone to be Jesus for me. Does anyone want to come up and be Jesus? Shana wants to be Jesus. Everyone give Shana a clap. And so the picture that I want us to explore today together is not... Sorry, is there a deceiver saying that this is not Jesus in the room? I want to leave us with a different picture of not throwing the box away, but actually taking our box. And Shana, can you come stand next to me? Right, so Jesus is walking beside me. And I actually hand the box to Jesus. And he holds the box. And we walk together. And you see, the thing is, right, is that whenever I feel like it, whenever I want, I can take the box back. Right? I can choose to take the box back and choose to carry that weight. But each day I can choose to give this back to Jesus. And he's there willing to take it. And what I want to suggest today is that, one way that we can try to help ourselves not be tempted to take the box back is that we can fill our hands with something new, right? So you guys want to explore that with me today? Okay, all right. Johnny, you can sit down now. Thank you. You're a wonderful Jesus. And so we're going to do something a little bit different, and it might go for a little bit long. So I apologize if you get bored. Okay, but my hope is that God is actually going to do a work in this space. You see, when I wrote this message, I normally find messages quite it's energy filling for me. Like I sort of get excited when I'm writing a message. But when I wrote this message, what I actually found is that I had to have breaks because there was a heaviness or a struggle. And so these words that I'm going to read, I've actually prayed into these words. And I just asked God to put the words that he wanted on this page. And a lot of these words are just straight from Scripture. They might come from the passage that we've read out. And so my encouragement is if you read that passage this week, read it in different translations as well, because there's some power in that. And if you don't know what a translation is, imagine we all speak different languages. It's not a different language, but it's a different dialect, right? The Bible has been written in different dialects. And so there's similar or different phrasings and nuances. And so sometimes when we change translation, we find something new in that. My grandma lives in Mackay, and if I say port, it means a different thing to her. It means bag to her, but to me it doesn't mean bag. So, we don't speak a different language, but there's different nuances in that. So my encouragement is to read that passage in different translations. But what we're about to read, it's the Word of God. And so what we're going to do is in a moment, I'm going to ask everyone to close their eyes. Okay, and what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you are holding your box. Okay, and I'm going to go through 6 different thoughts. And now if these are not one of the thoughts that you struggle with, this is your job right now. Are you listening to me? Okay, if these aren't one of your thoughts, your job is to ask yourself, I've got it written down, but I can't find it, right? What are your dark thoughts and your dark attitudes that need the light of Jesus? Okay? So we are all going to have that question to ask. But what we're going to do is I'm going to get you to imagine you holding this box. And I'm going to read out a dark thought. And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to read through an invitation from Jesus. Okay, this will be Jesus standing next to you, inviting you to hand the box over to him. And then I'm going to give you the opportunity to hand the box over to him. And then we're going to read something new. New words that Jesus then will speak over you and that you can speak over yourself so that your hands are not empty anymore. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, all right. And just to clarify, so you can keep your eyes closed. There's going to be a section at the end where I start sharing from my testimony. And what I noticed in Austral is that people wanted to look at me when I was speaking, and that's completely fine. If you want to acknowledge me and say, oh, hey, Rachel, that sucks that you're going through that, that's fine. But if you just want to keep your eyes closed and stay in that space, that's completely fine as well. All right, so can everyone close their eyes for me now? And I want you to just picture yourself there with your box. And like I said before, you might have a dark thought that you're wrestling with, but there's 6 that I'm going to speak to you right now. And the first dark thought is you are standing there with your box and you are saying, I am anxious. I am depressed. And then Jesus is there standing next to you. And his invitation to you is saying, my child, right now, you are experiencing anxiety or you are experiencing depression that is so intense and so overwhelming. But let me help you carry that heavy load. I promise you can take it back whenever you want to. But I am walking beside you. And my arms have the strength that you need. And you take that box and you look to Jesus and you hand it to him. And then he looks back to you and he speaks new words over you. And so now you can speak, you can fill your hands with these words. I am filled with the peace of God. I am filled with the joy of God. Or maybe another dark thought that you are holding, the weight that you are carrying is I am angry. I am so angry. And then you look to Jesus and he's standing there beside you. And he says, child, even though you are experiencing anger right now, I am here to carry the heavy load for you. He says, if you are angry, go ahead and be angry. You do well to be angry. But just don't use your anger as fuel for revenge. And don't stay angry. I can help you slowly to let go. I can help you to find freedom in forgiveness. I can help transform your anger from a foothold to a springboard. And then you look at Jesus and you have the courage to hand your box over into his hands. And then he looks at you and he speaks new words over you. And then now your hands are full and you can say about yourself, I am forgiven. I am forgiving. I am free. And you feel so much lighter. Or perhaps, I wonder if there's someone in this room right now that has the thought, I am addicted. I don't know what that addiction might be, but there's someone that's here that is carrying that weight. I am addicted. And then you look at Jesus and he is standing right there next to you. And he looks at you and he says, child, you are experiencing addiction right now. And I can see the toll that it is taking. But he says, I am not moving away from you. He says, in fact, I am running to you. I am running after you. He says, I can walk beside you. Hand me that heavy burden. We can do this together. And I promise you can carry that box when you feel like you need to hold it. But don't doubt that I will always be here to take that weight from you. Jesus says, I love you. And reluctantly, but willingly, you hand that box into the hands of Jesus. And he looks at you and he speaks new life and light over your light. And then you can say, I have all that I need. I am content. I am worthy. I am loved. Or maybe you hold that dark thought of, I am a deceiver. Nobody knows me. And if they knew the real me, they would not love me. I am a deceiver. And then Jesus looks at you and he says, child, you are experiencing corruption through deception. But I have a new way for you, a way of wholeness, a way of truth. I will help you to stop telling lies. I will help you to stop believing lies. The lies that you tell to others and the lies that you tell to yourself. I will show you how to be a truth teller. Let me carry this burden for you, this weight that is weighing you down. My child, a lie, it is darkness. A lie is heavy. But follow me. I am light. And when you walk beside me, my light will shine onto you. And so you look to Jesus and you take that heavy weight and you hand it to him. And he speaks these new over you. And you speak these words to yourself and you say, I am a truth teller. I have 2 more dark thoughts to read out. The next one is, I break people with words. Or I have been broken with words. And you hold that dark thought in your hands. And you look and you see Jesus standing there beside you. And you hear this invitation. He says, my child, I can hear the words that you have spoken. Or I can hear the words that have been spoken. And do you know that I still love you? That I am here walking beside you, waiting for you to pass that heavy burden over to me. Why are you choosing to hold this alone? I can see the way you need to tense up so that you can bear that weight. Words that are rotten, words that are harsh, swearing, dirty words, they all weigh people down. I want to teach you a new way as we walk side by side. I want to help you see you speak, to see the way you hear, to use words to build and not to break. You are kind, you are tender-hearted. This is the way I created you. I am a builder. And then you look to Jesus and he looks back at you and he speaks new words over you. And he says, I am a builder of people. And so new words that you can speak over yourself is, I am a builder of people. I have been made whole. And the last dark thought that I want to speak to, and this is actually my dark thought that I've been wrestling with. And there's two of them. It is, I am alone and I can do this on my own. You see, lately I've been feeling, a little while ago I was feeling lonely. One of my best friends moved away. Someone who I used to spend time with almost every single day. I was also not going to work because I was at home with Lily. My kids kept on getting sick. And so there was this sense of being stuck at home. And I just felt this weight of being alone. At the beginning of the year as well, Mark and I were wrestling through one of our hardest seasons in our marriage. And so a place where I used to find companionship, for a season I just felt lonely. And so I had this dark thought over me that I am alone. I am alone. And more recently, I've been struggling with anxiety. Just a weight that sits on my chest. That is heavy. Literally a box that sits on my chest. That can make it hard to breathe at times. And when I listened to Judy's message a couple of weeks ago, God just started stirring in my heart. And in the week, Judy asked me, she said, what is your anxiety saying to you? And one of the things is that I felt like he was saying that I needed to take the pressure off. But as I explored that more, I had this thought of, I can do this on my own. I can do this on my own. And I actually had to repent of that because I can't. I need Jesus. I'm not sure what your struggle is, but I find it easier to invite Jesus into the challenging spaces. But it's the everyday spaces that I forget. I forget that he is walking there beside me. And so here I am, carrying my heavy box, holding the weight on my own. And so now, right now in this space, I'm actually going to take the time to just look to Jesus. And I'm going to read out the invitation that he extends to me. And I wonder if there's an invitation that he's extending to you today as well. And this is what Jesus is saying. He's saying, my child, Rachel, you may feel alone, but trust me, you are not. I know that you think you need to have the strength to do this alone, but trust me, you don't. Loneliness is a heavy burden for you to hold, and you can hand this weight to me. I am here, walking beside you. I am stronger than you can think or imagine. And trust me, life will be so much fuller if you can walk along the journey with me. Remember your place. I am the heavy lifter. Remember your place. I am the heavy lifter. And child, you can sit when you need to sit. You can lay when you need to lay. Take all the rest you need. I have got you. And I look to Jesus and I say, here is my box. Here is my darkness. Here is the weight that I do not want to carry anymore. And Jesus, I can place this into your hands. So now that I can say that I am not alone, that I need Jesus, that God has got me, that I can rest